was about maybe 5 years old. In my neighborhood, there was this huge store for wedding dresses. I didn't think of myself as a bride, but as the one making the dresses. I have like a morality that says that the strongest shoulders should carry the most. So I feel an obligation to use my voice or my platform or my money or my whatever it is, my clothes, my everything, to try to put a light on things that are unfair. I pay the price. I can bark on a flea market. I don't bark with female artists. I just take the credit card. Because I buy what I really, really, really like, I could not imagine to sell it again. I buy art to keep art.
Naja Munthe, hello and welcome to the Red Dot Talk.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very excited for all the topics that we should talk about today.
Great. Maybe we can start with the basics and you can introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Naja Munthe, and I'm the owner and the founder of the Danish fashion company called Munthe. I started the company 32 years ago this year. It's been a long journey, a long road, a bumpy road from time to time, but also a fantastic journey.
You're a fashion designer, but you're also an arts collector, an artist. So we'll try to cover all these aspects of your identity, let's say. How did your journey go? Like, how did you become a fashion designer? Did you always know that you wanted to become a fashion designer?
Well, no, but I think it's because when I was a kid, the fashion industry in Denmark were almost non-existing, and I wasn't aware that becoming a designer was actually a job. But I remember a situation when I was I think it was about maybe 5 years old, and in my neighborhood there was this huge store for wedding dresses.
Okay.
And all these wedding dresses were displayed in the windows. They had like the 6 or 8 windows. And I remember looking at all these like princess dresses. I didn't think of myself as a bride, but as the one making the dresses. And I think, at least that's what I'm told, every little girl's dream is to be a princess and a bride and wearing these big dresses. I was like, I want to make him. So I guess it was meant to be before I was aware that you could actually become a designer. And I was quite old. I think I was in high school before I realized, oh my God, it's actually a job. It's an education. And I mean, I must have been 16 at that point, something like that. And I mean, from then on, I didn't look back. That was the only thing that I aimed for. That was my goal, to get into the design school and become a designer.
Very determined from an early age on.
Yeah.
And you knew also that you wanted to have your own company. Has it been a dream? And how did it happen, like between being 16 years old and willing to become a fashion designer and finally launching Munthe's brand?
I think it was like some kind of a coincidence, because, like I said, my absolute goal was to get into the design school. And I think actually, I would say my dream stopped there, but that was as far as I was able to think at that time. So when I got in, I was just leaning back, knowing that for the next 3 or 4 years, I could just dive into all these processes and all these skills that you develop in yourself within the education. And I didn't really give it much of a thought what I was going to do afterwards. But then I hooked up with a friend of mine, and she was like, why don't we just start a company? And back then it was like, I don't even know if the word entrepreneur was invented. It was at least not something that I ever heard of. And so I was just like, because I'm always game for stuff. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And that was it. It was not planned. It was not, I didn't have any business plan. I just did it. And the good thing about not knowing what is in ahead of you is that you just dive into it. And I didn't know how much it would actually take, not, of course, both as a designer, but also just to start a company. I mean, like with the taxes, the finance, the logistic, the production, the meeting with the clients, that, this, I mean, but it was learning by doing. And so, and step by step, it grew from there.
Amazing. And so it's been 32 years this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Can you maybe shortly tell us about the history of Munthe and its evolution from the moment you started to where it is today?
I mean, it started out really, really, really small. And in the beginning, I did everything myself. I, was a cleaner, I was a salesman, I was a financer. And
It's super important to remind people
yeah,
so that people don't take for granted the image that you are today. Yes, 32 years ago,
yeah,
you had to do all the jobs.
yeah. But I've never been afraid of hard work. And I mean, literally hard work. I actually like it. So for me, it was just like, if this is going to happen, I have to do everything. But of course, as the company grew bigger, I started hiring people for the different positions year by year, steadily increased. But of course, in all my years, I've had ups and downs. And I think in Denmark, at that time, it was quite unique with a brand like Munthe. It was also very Danish based because it was actually more or less before the internet. I mean, and it was definitely before the Instagram and stuff like that. So it was more difficult to reach other countries and other buyers and other markets. So it was mainly in Scandinavia. We didn't have that much competition because the fashion industry was so young at that time. And there was this swift over the years where we had a lot of new competitors, but also the world became so much smaller. It was so much easier to reach out to Japan and US and UK and Sydney. And so I think that gradually we expanded the company international a lot. And we opened shops and showrooms around the world, and starting having fashion shows 2 times a year. So where we are today is like it's the biggest turnover and the biggest company that Munthe has ever been.
So how many people in the team do you have and how many showrooms or corners today?
I think we have around 300, 350 retailers around the world. And I mean, we are basically represented all over the world, from South Korea, like Australia, the US, Canada, all over Europe, the APAC countries. We have the agencies all around Europe, like Belgium, Holland, the Netherlands, Germany, France, Spain, Sweden, Norway, UK.
Exciting. Soon.
Yeah, it's a huge machine now. It's a big ship to run, I would say.
Probably exciting to know that many people in the world are dressed in Munthe. That must be really exciting. And as we're talking to artists, what style of Munthe and what's the specificity? Maybe we can mention that some of your pieces are designed in collaboration with artists.
Yes. I mean, I my dad was an artist and he had an art school. So since I was little, I've been surrounded with art, and I've always been like very creative myself, much better than I was at the math and the physics in school.
I imagine many artists will relate to that.
And when I realized that I wanted to become a designer, of course, I started the preparation, and it's a very difficult education to get into, and I tried 3 times before I was accepted. In the meantime, I joined an art school as well, where I was studying art and doing art with all kind of like paintings, drawings, a lot of drawings, sculptures, like drawing with ink and charcoal and tuche and
So interesting. So you had the two in parallel also at
yeah,
this very like at this age where it's very fundamental. So you had your art practice next to the more technical, maybe.
yeah. And I think that shaped me a lot as a designer because I'm very driven by print and structure. What kind of fabric is it, and how do you decorate your fabric? And actually, when I had the opportunity to go to the school, I was in doubt whether I was going to on the design, the fashion design, or the textile, because I had spent a lot of time also weaving and doing ceramic, and I was in doubt whether I was going to do the fashion way or the more artistic way. It turned out that I could combine both the very artistic and the design philosophy. So I think the merge for me is perfect, because if I couldn't be a designer just doing regular stuff and very basic stuff, it wouldn't be me, because I'm way too focused on print and decoration and develop all the skills and technicians around leather and yeah, paper cutting and stuff like that.
What do art and fashion have in common for you today?
Well, for me, it's like the left and the right hand. It's like I need both of them, and the good thing about it is that every season, almost every season, we have a collab with a female artist where we use her print in some form on our clothes. Every piece is one of our bestsellers. I cannot recall one piece where we had the collab with the female artist that was not on our bestseller list. So
That
I
sounds
think it
exciting.
resonates extremely well with our end consumer, that they have an interest for art as well. But for some people, it may be like a big step to invest in an art piece. It could be both like the size of their domestic place, or it could be maybe financial, or is my partner agreeing on, what are we buying? But to buy a piece of art that you could actually wear, it's much more accessible. And I think that's why it's such a great success for us. And also it gives me the opportunity to highlight a female artist for every season.
Amazing. I know that in the fashion industry, you have to prepare everything like months, if not years in advance. How does the project happen? Can you maybe tell us an example with the latest artist you collaborated with?
Well, the thing is that we have a project, or not a project, but like a part of our company is called Art Monday. And that means that we every Monday uses all our platforms like Facebook, Instagram, yeah, to highlight a female artist, where we shows her artworks and we interview her on different topics, like what is it like to be a female artist, what kind of challenges are you meeting in your career and stuff like that. And that makes a lot of like 50 female artists a year. So we have a big pond to pick from. These artists that we find have the right theme or the right way of painting or drawing, or whatever her expression form is for that collection that we are currently working with. Then we reach out to her and we simply ask her, like, are you interested in being highlighted? And of course, we pay money for it. 9 out of 10 times, the artist agrees, and we have a collab in that sense. In the beginning, it was more difficult because the artists are, of course, very protective of their artwork. But I think since it's so incorporated now and all the artists can see the previous artist, how beautiful it is and how respectfully we treat the artwork. I mean, it's people just say yes, and the outcome is it's so beautiful. It's we print on silk, 100% silk. The product turns out to be so beautiful. They come from all over the world. I mean, and they come in all kind of variety, different skin color, different nationalities, different age, different stages in their lives. I mean, some are newer and some are very established. Some has been making it for many, many years and showing in galleries, and some artists haven't had that breakthrough yet, but makes amazing art pieces. We choose from whatever expression is closest to the collection we are working on, and then we're making sure that we focus worldwide, so we don't just pick in our own pond.
You mentioned diversity, and diversity seems to have become more and more important in the fashion industry. Is it something that has been important for you all the time, like since the beginning? In how did you see the fashion industry evolve towards diversity?
Well, thankfully, I can say that for me, diversity has always been a topic, and it's just not just something I'm saying. The good thing about fashion is everything is documented because, like, we have campaigns and stuff like that. From the very, very beginning, we try to highlight different subjects. And I remember one campaign we did, like it must have been 20 years ago, I think, where we were using a lot of different models. We were using kids, we were using like grandmas as well. I designed a lot of T-shirt where all the benefit would go to the research in cancer, breast cancer. And we had this wonderful woman being a part of our campaign who had one of her breasts removed, and so she was posing in some pants and then a scarf covering her shoulder, but she was showing off her breast. And there was just a scar on the other side. And we printed that in the lookbook in our campaign. I was proud of it. I have always been fond of using diverse models, both real models, but also like real people. It has been with great success sometimes, but also sometimes it hasn't. I made a big show maybe like 18 years ago where the whole collection was inspired by African beadworking and the way that they painted the houses, and it was so beautiful. And to be true to the concept, I only used the black models. And in Denmark, since the population here are very white, we've had the models flown in from everywhere. So it was only black models. And I mean, at the end of the show, normally people would clap and, like, wait. And it was almost silence because it was so unusual to see a black model on the catwalk in Denmark. And I remember the collection was not a great success because I think, in their opinion, I have taken it too far, and fair enough with that. But it's
It
just
was too early, probably.
it was too early and too massive, and I think it was too unseen, and it was too difficult to relate to at that time. Even in the beginning, and where I was maybe in my late 20s, I was very fond of using old models as well, and I kept that philosophy. But using old models new means that they are about to be my same age, around the 60 and a little bit older than that. But I think it's super important. I work so much with female empowerment, and one of the things is to empower women as they grow older. I get so sad when I hear podcasts or women in my age and older saying how difficult it is for them to get older, because I don't find it difficult at all. And I think that there's something wrong with the way we see ourselves as women, when we loses that youth that we obviously had when we were younger. So if I can, like, maybe put some comfort into people, women getting older, by using them in my campaign, I'm more than happy to do so. So I think that I take the responsibility of female empowerment really, really seriously. So I try to show diversity and support and helping and, yeah, highlighting wherever I find it necessary.
It's indeed important to show that aging can be beautiful. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
It's important.
Mm.
And when did you start using Munthe as a platform for women empowerment and women in the arts? Like you mentioned, it started small, Munthe. So when did you have the capacity to offer your visibility as a and platform for women artists?
I think we started at Monday maybe 5 years ago. Uh,
Okay.
and it was totally a Naya project, a me project. But that's a good thing about being the owner. I just tell people what to do. I mean, I don't want to discuss my ideas if I'm really sure about it myself. So I just introduced this at Monday. Listen, guys, this is what we're gonna do from now on.
As you have the capacity to say, we're going to do this,
Yeah.
how did the idea come to you? When did you feel it was necessary?
I think of myself as a feminist in general. And the inequality there is between the gender are so visible in so many aspects of life. I have like a morality that says that the strongest shoulders should carry the most. So I feel an obligation to use my voice or my platform or my money or my whatever it is, my clothes, my everything, to try to put a light on things that are unfair. And the inequality in art is so obviously. I mean, like, what is it? 1% of the all the art in the museums around the world is from women. I mean, it goes without saying that there's something wrong in the way that we think of art. That I think the perception is that the male artists are like, it's a more safe investment and they're just better at the job. And of course, I know that, like, if you go 100 years back or 200 years back, the women didn't have the option to paint because they should take care of the house and the kids and stuff like that. But even so, I mean, it is remarkable how little women you see in the older art industry. And even today, like the new educated men and women, it's still the men who's doing better than the women. And now everybody has the same rights, at least in Europe. So I just feel it is important, and I'm not, talking about, the women should take over the world or anything like that. But I believe in a balance, and I think that balance is good for everything. So I'm just trying to create that balance, or at least give my contribution to creating that balance.
Yeah, so you introduced Art Monday and now it has become a ritual. You
Yeah.
have the collaborations. What would be your dream to contribute to a better gender equal art world?
Well, I think that what we're doing now is that we every year we invest in a piece of artwork to have it displayed in our office, in our showroom. We have around 15 different artworks in the office. And so when we have clients and customers, we show them our gallery and we explain to them, so this female artist and this female artist and this. I hope that over the years, when I collect even more and invest in even more, that of course it will still be the showroom for the clothes, but people will also come to see the collection of art that we have here. I think that would be super, super nice.
It's
Yeah.
a very nice ambition. So you studied arts. Do you still make art yourself?
Hmm? I do. I do. I don't have that much time, but for instance, last night I was just sitting at home very late and doing some sketches with ink. I use a pencil. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I use the other side. And then
Uh-huh.
I cut it with a knife. And then I dip it into the ink and then on the paper because it gives like a very, very interesting way of drawing. So I was drawing all kind of different symbols. I made a lot of the artwork we have here in the showroom as well. To be honest, my time is very limited. It's more like a full-time job to run this business. I don't have the time to do that the way that I want to. But I have two kids, and one is 21 and one is 18. The big guy, he's about to move out now, and it's going to be a couple of years, and then the smallest one is moving out. And I've already planned their rooms are going to be my workplace. So I'm going to have like this oven for ceramic, and I have big tables and big staffeles where I can work with all my painting and stuff like that. But for now, it's too complicated for me because I don't have the time and I don't have the space. But it's coming in a few years.
Great. Also to remind that life is made of different phases,
Yeah.
and you know that now it's about raising kids
Yeah.
and the job,
Yeah.
but after you gave them everything you could to empower, then you will have some time and space. I think many female artists or many women will relate to that and
Yeah.
know that
Mm.
it's a step-by-step process
Yeah.
until you can actually do several things at the same time. Are your kids aware that they're not going to have their rooms?
They're not that interested actually, but I think they're very supportive in anything I do. And when I'm doing things at home, they're very interested and like, oh, wow, mom, it looks good. And, then they're off again.
You planted seeds probably, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
will know that as possible. You mentioned that Munthe is having a collection. Do you have a personal collection and the one in Munthe? Like, how did your collector journey started?
I mean, I just buy what I like. I don't buy things as an investment. And in the beginning, it would be more, I would like purchase friends of mine, friends from the art industry. And then I would like go to the galleries and see and follow people on Instagram. And then I just like was seeing what people were doing, especially on Art Monday. It's a good platform to keep an eye on what people are doing because we have the art fair here in Copenhagen. So I go to see that and I look around and I purchase, like, if I see something I like, then I purchase it.
When did you start looking at art with the intention of buying? Because for many people, it's a transition that
Yeah,
can happen late in life or never. Like
yeah.
between going to a museum and actually owning a piece, it's
Mm.
not like liking art and enjoying going to museums and exhibitions, and finally figuring out I can actually have a piece at home.
Yeah, I think it's always been a part of my home, even as a child. I don't recall the first time that I bought a piece of art, but
Okay.
I was grown up because it's expensive. And I mean, as I did, like, started the company with absolutely no money at all. I come from a very, yeah, like an artist home, and my mom, she was a school teacher, and they got divorced. So she was alone with me and my brother. We didn't have any money at all. Starting my own business was like with no money at all. So there's a nice to have, a need to have, and the nice to have would be a piece of art. So I think I was in my at least my 30s, if not in 30s, before I actually bought a painting. And I can remember because it was a Danish artist called Katrine Raben. She makes amazing paintings, and she's highly, highly known now. But I bought her at a time where where she was very newly educated and very unknown. So I got a good price, even though it was a lot of money at that time.
And do you still have her piece?
Yes, it's a very cherished piece of art that is in my bedroom.
And do you imagine someday to resell a piece, or it's not
Um,
possible?
no, I think that because I buy what I really, really, really like, I could not imagine to sell it again. I buy art to keep art.
Do you have so many pieces that you have to switch, or do you always keep all of them on your walls?
Well, that's why I bought a very, very, very big showroom. I wouldn't have the walls in my own home to display all the art that I bought through the times. And in the beginning, I bought the art for myself, but now most of my art is bought of Munthe, of my company, to display here in the office. Also because some of it is huge. Like maybe 3 years ago, I bought a vase. I think it's about 1 meter 20 high, 80 centimeters in diameter. She's an artist called Mia Mørkeberg, and she's been painting all kind of women and stories and scratching in the clay and stuff like that. And it's a huge piece of art. And if we want to move it from one part to another part of the showroom, we need to be 3 people to carry it around. It's not a piece to be in a domestic environment. It's way too big. Also, a couple of years ago, I bought a big wall relief of an artist called Asif Itona. And it's like the 2 meters high and 2 meters wide. So, and it's attached to the wall. So it requires a lot of space and a lot of wall capacity. And I don't have that at home. And I want
Imagine.
people to see the art. So here where we have a lot of people in our showroom all the time. I mean, it's a perfect way of having a gallery and a showroom at the same time.
Do you purchase from artists directly?
And sometimes it's through the artist themselves, and sometimes it's through their agency or their gallery. It depends. I could reach out to an artist and they would say, looks, sounds interesting, but talk to my agent. Or it could be directly with the artist. That's up to them.
What's the usual process? Because you say you follow your intuition, so you purchase what you like, but are you giving an offer or are you taking out the credit card directly, or do you take some time to think?
Well, I don't bark. I pay the price. I can bark on a flea market. I don't bark with female artists. I pay the price. I just take the credit card. Yeah. It never occurred to me that I should negotiate. I would never do that. I mean, you can't put a price on a artwork. I mean, it could be, 100 euro or it could be 100,000 euros. Who can judge? You're not buying the painting or the bricks for a sculpture. You're buying their idea and the hype and their visions. You just have to pay the price. Been looking at several female artists that was way too expensive for me. But it's just like, well, that's the name of the game.
Can you maybe share, like today, how many pieces you purchase per year? Because do you start the year with an objective? I want to purchase 1, 2 pieces, or is it more you wait until you see something you like, and fundamentally there are years where you purchase nothing and years where you purchase a lot?
Well, over the last 5 years, I've purchased a lot. And some years has been like when we moved into the new showroom 3 years ago.
You had many walls.
I had many walls, yes.
New playground.
And so I bought like 5 or 6 pieces, but at least I buy once a year. It's actually what I find is interesting and what comes my way. But of course, I'm picky in that sense that um, it needs to feel right. It needs to feel like this is it. I'm not just buying to buy because it's going to be here for a lot of years. And even though when I'm stepping out of the company like when I get really old and want to do something else, well, the company continue, and it's going to be my legacy in a way, that there is a big art collection in the company. And like when I'm dead and gone, they can, I don't know, give it to a gallery or do something else. But I mean, I want to make this art collection with a lot of great female artists that is representative of diverse female artists.
It's beautiful to think it as a legacy. I like that.
Yeah.
Did you ever influence friends, family to get interested in art?
I don't know if I'm that much aware of it, but I think nobody has a doubt about that Munthe is a very art-based fashion company. I mean, I think we have established ourselves as very art-driven. All the people in the showroom, guests, clients, customers, agents, press, they know we have a big collection here of art, and we are happy to show them all the art that is displayed in the showroom, but also all the art that is around all the workstations. So we show them the kitchen, and the the PR department and the finance department, where we have a lot of collections in their meeting rooms as well. So everybody knows that we are very, very connected to the art scene.
And when you visit galleries or fair, is it something you do on your own because it nurture you, or is it also a social event where you go with friends? How do you live this passion on a day to day?
Actually, I prefer more or less to go alone. I think for me, it's nothing social. When I go to an exhibition, it would be with somebody who cherish the art as much as me. I like to go to exhibitions with my daddy. He's in the beginning of the 80s now, but I still travel with him. We went to Amsterdam not long ago and went to see all the museums, because with him, I talk art. I mean, not just what we like and not like, since he knows so much. So we have like a more professional conversation. I mean, it's on another level, which I find very, very interesting. And my boyfriend, he's very into art as well. We visit a lot of galleries and exhibitions as well. Every time I go somewhere, I try to visit galleries and museums, but I'm more than happy to go myself.
It's a one-on-one conversation that you maybe share and afterwards, but at this moment you enjoy living it alone.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What would be first the advice you would give to someone who would be willing to support female artists? What's the advice to someone who would like to start collecting?
Well, I think it's two different things, because if you want to collect art, it's basically just to do it. And I mean, depending on your budget, I think if you don't have that big budget, and most people don't for art, I would start like following the schools. When do they have their exhibitions, and sometimes they do some kind of sale, and then the smaller galleries where you can purchase affordable things. I would make a big shout out to the whole industry of, I don't know if you call them buyers at the gallery, the museums, and the permanent exhibitions, but to focus on female artists, because that is what's really, really, really important, and what means so much to the artist to be displayed and to be shown to the public. That is to purchase a lot of female artists, at least do it 50-50%. I think they should have that as a rule, that we only buy 50-50 from now on. We only exhibit 50-50 from now on. We only talk about 50-50 men, women from now on. We, on the covers, on the art magazines, everybody in the leading position, 50-50% at least.
Then what would be the advice to artists that want to grow their visibility to an international audience? And what would be your advice as a collector? How would you advise artists to approach collectors?
I mean, for artists, as for so many others, it's visibility. I've heard so many stories on the singers that just were playing one of their own songs and put it on TikTok, and whoopsie, this record company saw them. And it's the same for art. The first way that I meet somebody is on the social media. I instantly go to their Instagram profile or maybe TikTok, or I'm not using that much LinkedIn, but it's on all the social platforms. And I know, especially from the elder generation, that for them it's not as natural as it is for the younger generation to be on these platforms, but it's super, super, super important because everything happens so fast today. And if it's too difficult to find you, like if I have to search a lot and I can't find you, and then maybe if I go to find your Instagram, and half of it is your kids or your, I don't know, your dog or your dinner, it's not relevant at all. So actually take control over your own visibility of art, creating some good content that shows and displays your piece of art, and also the way that you work, because a lot of people find it so interesting to see a sneak peek behind the scene. How are you working? What's your ideas? How did you come up with this? And how do you start with a blank painting? How do you put the first thing on the board and stuff like that? So you have to think immediately how to sell yourself. And I know that a lot of artists don't want to think of them like that, but you have to do that. You have to, because otherwise the competition is too big and there are too many. There are way more visible than you. So you have to try to get out there, to get your pictures out there. That's thing number one for me.
You mentioned that you collect paintings, sculpture, ceramics, photography. I wonder a lot about photography. I'm passionate about photography, but I think it's harder for collectors to understand the concept of multiples.
Mm.
Is it something that you also wonder about? Is it something that you started getting knowledgeable about, or how can you convince someone to start purchasing a photograph?
I agree with you that there is an aspect of like, I like this one, but you can, behind my back, you can just make it 10 more and sell it out of the back door. But I think that the photographers it's in their own interest to protect their artwork so it doesn't get exposed in too many numbers.
Keeping the edition short and
Yeah.
limited is important for you as a collector also.
Yes, definitely. Photography is just as much an art form as any other art form is. It's a newer form of expression within the art industry because it wasn't invented 200 years ago, or it was like the very early stage where you didn't work with it as an art form, but more like a documentation of certain things. I have purchased a lot of artwork. Actually, the one you see behind me, where we are talking, that's the only male artwork I have, but it's a war photographer who went to the refugee camp and took pictures of, like I could show it to you now,
Yeah.
small kids in the like playing in the refugees tents, and he's highly, highly praised as a photographer. I think that we're gonna see a lot more artists doing photographies. Actually, one thing I didn't buy because it was too expensive. There's this, I think she's French or Spanish. She's called Marie Beauvau, and she makes amazing, amazing photos. But when I discovered her, like maybe 10 years ago, I mean, it was so way over my budget. But I love what she's doing. Absolutely love it. I think there's so many good photographers out there that has a totally special eye for composing and capturing a moment. That could easily be a next time purchase.
Do you see trends? Do you see evolutions in the art world since you've become a collector?
I would like to say yes, because I think that women are more represented now than 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or even further. But I mean, my personal own experience is that there's a much bigger attention to female artists today than there has ever been before. And it's both within the living female artists, but it's also like a contribution to those few female artists that used to be solo exhibitions and featuring some of the female artists are beginning to be very expensive now, some of the old ones, when they are sold in auctions. And I think that can frame the path for the next generations as well.
And do you think artists can learn something from the fashion industry, or is there something interesting to take from the fashion industry? For instance, the fact that there are collections released twice a year or more, I don't know, maybe 4 times a year in the fashion industry. You know, the fact that artists are working in series, is there something like that that would be interesting for artists to look at in terms of how you organize your release?
I think for all creative people, I one of the challenge that I felt after like being finished with school is that we learned a lot about being creative and processes, but we didn't learn anything about business. And the biggest reason for my success is that creativity and business goes hand in hand. I don't have to compromise my creativity by thinking business. That would really be my biggest advice for young artists, is to think business as well. It doesn't make you any less great artist. You don't have to compromise with all your ideas, to think also strategically. I wish it would be something that you had on your schedule in the schools. So when I have this beautiful product, how do I show it? I mean, how do I get people to buy it? Because as a designer, the issue is the same. I have something on my heart. I make stuff. But how do I sell it? How do I get people to buy it? Of course, we are much more commercial in the fashion industry than most of us. But I mean, there's nothing against the artist to think the same way. I mean, you could easily do whatever your heart tells you to do, but also consider, how can I make a business out of this?
Would you recommend artists to do prints or start doing things that look a bit more commercial in the art world? Or is it more a question of how do I get people to see the works and how do I exhibit as much as I can or show and invest in social media?
I would never ask anybody to or give advice on how to do their art. You should always go with your heart, period. But having said that, when you've done something like with your heart and your soul and your blood, what most people, artists, want to is to show it to the world and sell it so it doesn't take up space. And so you can afford to start up a new process. And that's where I think that you have to allow yourself to dive a little bit into the whole business thinking. Like, I made this sculpture or this, I don't know, ceramic or this huge painting. But how am I going to sell it? To whom should I show this? Maybe it doesn't come easy to people, and that's fair enough, but it's something you can learn. I mean, initially, the first thing you have to do is be aware that it's a very good thing just to pay a little bit attention to the business part. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Naja, for your time and generosity of the advice and sharing your own story.
I could talk about this forever. I wish you all the best.
I hope that you liked this episode and that you got concrete insights for your personal journey. Follow us on YouTube or your favorite audio platforms to be updated of my next talks with other art market insiders. Goodbye!